Well, welcome to the very first World Tote Association webinar. It's the first one of its kind for the association, and the topic for tonight or today or this morning's webinar, depending on where you are, is how to make retail digital. With the wide membership of the association across the globe, we have been able to tap into the experts and the gurus that exist within the organisations who are members of the association, to give you the very best information that we hope you can take away with you, because there will be key things that will come out of these presentations. Having seen the presentations, I find it fascinating that all the speakers have come from all different angles, but with such great experience, that will be of benefit to you all. Each speaker will make a presentation with questions being asked at the end of each presentation. We thank each of the speakers for spending the time to prepare the presentation and for being with us tonight. The order of the speakers is Grace Liang from the Hong Kong Jockey Club, Bernadette McLaughlin from Tabcorp, Jamie Hart from the UK Tote, and Zachary Leifer from Stronach. So I'll call on now Grace Liang to open up with her presentation.
Thank you, Paul. Hi, this is Grace. I'm from the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and I'm the head of retail and telebets, which I've got 2 channels under me. Just to introduce a bit of our structure in Hong Kong, we are actually a public organization in Hong Kong. We are running around 100 retail branches, betting branches, as well as 4 major telebet centers around Hong Kong. And I've got around 3,000 seats on the telebet side. Therefore, today I'm going to talk a bit about our OCBBs, what we call off-course betting branches, in terms of our, let me find my slide, why it looks like it's gone, where we are actually doing quite a lot of work digitizing it. However, it's not only on the experience of digitization, but we're also doing some of the format changes that helps with the digitization. Therefore, I will talk a bit about the holistic change or transformation we have in our retail format. Let me try one more time on sharing it. It's quite, here it is, yes. Okay, hope everyone can see my slide. It's good?
Yes.
Okay, therefore I would talk about our overall 7 steps digital journey, which actually come across not only on the physical channel side, but also, I mean, quite a lot of works that we have done on the digitizations of the whole like account opening, as well as, I mean, on using app or providing information over the internet for facilitating customers to get access to information, as well as to really embrace the whole digital journey. I will talk more about the retail challenge that we have been going through, especially after the COVID has struck Hong Kong for the past like more than half a year. We have our retail stories about our format makeover, which, as I said, I mean, for the format changes, we're actually bringing in a lot of digitization as well. We're transforming the experience we have at our betting branches. Instead of cashback, we're actually putting more emphasis on the experience, engagement with our customers, as well as the digitization's uptake, or what we call like grooming for our customers. There's integration of online, offline, which we are actually very much like still exploring a lot. However, I would say that with the makeover, with the digitizations, we're actually doing much more in terms of integrating both online and offline for cultivating the interest of our customers. I'll talk a bit about like obtaining more data through AI or some data analytics initiatives that we have with our retail branches, which recently we have been going through a transformation. And I would like very honestly say that we are not very much ahead of a lot of our partners in terms of data analytics. However, we are trying to catch up with it. All right, therefore the first one is about our 7-step customer wagering journey. Therefore you can see that I think that definitely retail is playing a big part of it, talking about like how we help our customers onboarding. I would say, I mean, it's not something that I could boast about, that we're still in the journey of having our customers to come in, our OCBBs, our betting branches for opening an account, which definitely is not a very digitized experience. A lot of banks or other financial institutes in Hong Kong, they're already having the ability for actually allowing customers to open an account online. Therefore, we are moving towards that so that the onboarding experience is much more easy, especially during the period of time like in COVID, where our OCBBs, our branches are actually closed. Therefore, there's actually causing a lockdown, I would say, I mean, a really stop of the account opening and things like that. Therefore, that's definitely something we're pushing much faster than we want to, and hopefully can be launching like in the first quarter of next year. That's definitely, I mean, with the onboarding, on fund transfer, how we can facilitate it, on booking of our facilities, whether it's in our race course or in our OCBBs, we are actually putting a lot of booking of facilities, booking of venues, booking of events that we put up on the internet for our accounts, customers. We are also preparing them, providing them information, no matter it's talking about videos, blogs, odds, and all kinds of information over the internet for preparing our customers to actually engage in the sportainment experience. And then definitely going into the betting is actually a very easy and straightforward, with a few hand strokes, they can do it very quickly, and then they could enjoy and have that peace of mind that all the tickets are actually within their app, within their digital device. Therefore, that's something that we're actually selling to our customers in terms of the benefit of having an account, or what we call like an e-wallet, to ensure that they don't need to register in case that they win the money, and then it goes automatically into their account, and it can go through the FPS, our fast pay system, for getting back into the bank. Therefore, the whole experience, actually, it relies quite a lot on the retail to walk through the customers on this journey. And on the other hand, because many of our loyal customers that gets into our OCBBs are actually quite mature customers. Many of them actually over 55 years of age. Therefore, we do need that people touch in order to get them acquainted with the experience and let them understand the benefit of it, and also to get through that journey of hand holding them so that they know how to use the app, they know how to use that e-wallet, they know how to use those self-service machines in case they want to use it in our betting branches, or in case they don't get into betting branches, how can they do it themselves at home. Therefore, these are some of the grooming activities that relies a lot on the retail side to still provide that education or training to our customers. Okay, let me talk about the retail challenge. Definitely, in the past half a year, we haven't opened our branches a lot because it has been closed since February, when the COVID strikes in Hong Kong. Therefore, you can see that before January, before we actually close our branches, these are the situations that you can see that the majority of what we are providing service with is actually a transaction service. Therefore, I would say that in terms of the design of our branches, in terms of the activities in the branch, in terms of the caliber of our staff in providing service, it's mostly transaction. It's very short, it's very much wagering focused. Therefore, you can see M6 is Mark 6, the lotteries service that we're providing, the lottery tickets, deposit, cashback. Those are the majority, I would say like 60–70% of our service. Of course, there is a layer of account servicing because customers still need to come into our betting branches for opening an account. There's a lot of verifications, a lot of documentation that needs to be done. And there is also a layer of experience creation. Maybe I'm putting that as more than what we used to have. However, I would love that to be actually growing. Therefore, after we close our branches, we reopen our branch when the COVID situation actually slowed down, as well as in a more controllable state. We reopen our branches in June. Therefore, that's the time that you can see that all the things about face-to-face interactions, accounts opening, information experience creation was all gone. We can't get our people. There is the gathering restrictions in Hong Kong as well. In the most restrictive sense, it's only like not more than 2 people to be able to come together. Therefore, there is actually no way for us to do a lot of face-to-face interactions like the social gathering, hosting events of live race in the retail. Therefore, you can see that the number of customers getting in is actually shrink a lot. Customers also change the behavior from actually coming in the shop, which they are now actually very restrictive of going out from home. Therefore, in that case, they are actually using less and coming in less to our branches. Therefore, in August, we close a little bit in after our race season ends in mid of July, and then we reopen it in August for a period of time, and therefore you can see it's further dropping. Therefore, we do see our customers actually changing their behavior a lot. I think a lot actually were forced, migrated to the digital channel unwillingly or willingly. Therefore, what we see is that whether retail is dead, I mean, what we see is that the customer behavior change, there's much less people coming into our betting branches. Our value proposition previously on transaction services actually cannot survive, I would say. That piece of transaction service actually shrink a lot. However, we need to seek, that's the opportunity that kicks in, that we need to seek new value propositions, new reasons for our customers to come in our branches. Therefore, what you can see is that that peach area of experience creation, cultivation actually needs to increase a lot. Therefore, that's actually coming to the next part about our shop design, our use of space in order to create that experience for our customers, instead of using all those counters for still continue doing a whole lot of cashback or transaction services. And on the other hand, you can see the account service actually shrink a lot. The reason is that what we expect starting April in next year is that customers can actually do it online. We're already developing it. Therefore, still there would be a very limited number of customers coming in for account servicing, but mostly they can do everything online. Therefore, that's the aspirations that we're moving for towards this direction. Therefore, you can see that we don't have a value proposition for transaction services anymore. Customers relying a lot on digital service to serve their transaction needs. We don't need to do a lot of account servicing because they can do it online anytime, anywhere they like. Therefore, what are we going to do with 100 branches? We need to pay rent, we need to pay all those fixed costs, and we need to make sure that there is a reason still for our customers to come in. Whether that's actually coming to a rationalization of our network branches, whether we do need 100 branches for a small place like Hong Kong, I think that's also another area that I need to think about. However, I would say we need to make sure that from now until like April next year, we need to get all these things ready, or else there isn't a space or a reason for the retail branches to continue to exist with all these changes happening. All right, therefore, the major challenge that we see when we reopen our branches is that there is a traffic issue. We can't get traffic into our branch. We want to have a very controlled traffic because that's probably causing public health risk. And with Hong Kong Jockey Club actually is a public organization. We are very much in the spotlight of the media, of government, in looking to us as upholding the stake in terms of like how we uphold a very good public health control. Therefore, on that case, we need to make sure that we want the traffic. However, we need to control the traffic. We can't let people come in and just flock into our OCBBs during race days. Therefore, we have a very much controlled operations mode for having customers come in. Therefore, until now, after we reopen, we are just resuming some of our service, like Mark 6 sales, which is inviting a whole big chunk of people coming in. Today is our first draw day for the OCBB to resume the Mark 6 sales. Therefore, you can imagine, I mean, when we resume our OCBB's opening in August, it's not until like October that we are able to resume our Mark 6 sales. We are still not yet resuming our on-day race, because that's probably one of the biggest risks we have with people coming in. And if we don't show live broadcast, that would be a problem. Therefore, now what we are doing is that in 27 of our 100 branches, we're having some media halls. And with those media halls, we can control crowding because we actually separate seats and block off some seats so that seats are actually 1.5 meters apart. Therefore, that's actually upholding that level of public health control in our media hall in the seated area. Therefore, those are the areas where we can be showing live broadcast. However, apart from that, in betting hall, we're actually switching off our TVs. We are not having any live broadcast in order not to allow any people to like hang out or stay longer than transactions that's needed. Therefore, we need to really put in a lot of controls in terms of traffic. There's a conversion issue as well, because we can't hold a lot of events. Therefore, without events, we don't have a good reason for inviting a lot of new customers coming in. Therefore, that's also a conversion issue for us. The good thing is, with our March 6 resume, our lottery's resumption, that is firstly online. That's actually inviting a lot of customers coming in to open an account. That's giving us good reasons to actually open accounts for customers. Therefore, that's helping us with a bit of conversion. However, all in all, opening accounts conversion issue in the OCB in the physical channel would be a big challenge. Engagement issue as well. Without that experience events that we can hold, there's definitely an engagement issues. And we do see, I mean, after we reopen, some of the big customers, the big punters, they are not appearing again. We don't know where they've gone. Therefore, that's still needed to have a certain period of time for resuming everything's back to normal. Therefore, you can see that with all these challenges, what we need to make sure that is that instead of a traditional offline model, we need to ensure that we have a good integration of digital channel, our store, our betting branches, as well as the race course, to ensure that the customer experience could be handled in different areas. Say, for example, when we first reopened in June, where at that time there is still very much concern about clusters of COVID outbreak. We are not opening our store. However, we are opening our race course for OCBB's purpose. Therefore, that's another challenge. We've never done that for opening a race course, for using it as a betting branches. And they're not located at the most convenient location. Therefore, we need to make sure that shuttles getting people in, there is like good enough health declaration, because we need to protect that racing bubbles to make sure that we are very clean, we are upholding a good standard in our race course. Therefore, all these things are actually giving a lot of challenge for us. Okay, therefore, the new beat, what we say is that is new time, is a new beat for our retail operations, is that it can no longer have a one size fits all. We need to make sure that we do have a good understanding of what customers' needs are. And we are talking about new customers' needs, even they are the old customers, they probably are changing their behavior as well. Therefore, we can't have an OCBB standardization. We used to have a retail format that is actually cloning, which if you take a picture in one OCBB, you can't tell where it is because they all look the same. Therefore, we want it to be really giving a purpose, giving an interest for customers for coming in. Therefore, we need to make sure that there is a relevance and value for our customers. It's no longer very much transaction oriented. We don't like crowding, which we previously like a lot. Therefore, all these things are actually pushing us into another paradigm of a customer focused experience and engagement. We need to give them new value and new relevance for these people for coming in, because they don't need to come in anymore for their transaction services. We need to have an offline online experience integration so that there is a reason for this person to see that why I need to come into the branches again. Therefore, these are some of the building blocks. I won't go into the details to bore you out. However, I would say that it's not only the hardware that we are changing, or it's not only the things that we are in our mind that, oh, we know that the customer's behavior are changing, we need to change this and that. There's a whole lot of factors we need to take into account. Say, for example, the most important one is our people. We have whole lots of our betting branch, what we call branch management team. They are working very long time. I would say like a lot of them work like 20 years or even more than 20 years in our betting branches. Their skills is very much transaction oriented. What they're doing day in, day out is actually very accurately and very efficiently. They are actually printing out tickets, accepting cash, counting it. However, if we tell them that, no, you're no longer sitting behind your counter, people are not coming in, and you don't have that demand for your counter service, you need to step out of the counter, engage your customers, create that experience, giving people a reason for coming in the retail branch again. That's something that is like never thought of by our people. Therefore, these are some of the empowerment, cultural transformation, some of the new performance metrics we need to put in place, some of the training programs as well. We are also adding in some of our newer management training into our branches to stir up that thinking, that agility for getting our people to be able to adopt a new mode of operations. Therefore, yeah, that's it. I would say we're still transforming ourselves. I mean, looking into how customers behave. However, the good thing is we do have some of the changes that's happening, which we do have a roadmap looking at from awareness all the way to loyalty, how we keep our customers coming back into our betting branches again. We do have some plans, I would say a blueprint for us to ensure that no matter in the hardware, software, activities, we're giving a good reason for customers to come in and repeatedly coming in again. Okay, let me show you some of our branch transformation. Therefore, previously, in the left-hand side, you can see that it's a transaction branches. It looks all the same from one shop to another, across the 100 shops. Some are older, some are newer, however, they look all the same. For the branches that we are going to renovate and put in big money, investing into it, we are no longer cloning the same design over and over again, because we're no longer a transaction branch. We need to create that experience. Therefore, you can see some of it, like say the Mongkok one in Dundas Street. We have opened it in September, and it's a digital service oriented branch, which we used to have a lot of betting counters. Now in that branch, we don't have any cash bet counters. What we have is app counters and customer service counters or customer service areas. Therefore, this is actually something that transforming that branch into an app experience, a digital experience, and we're actually teaching our customers how to adopt and groom them into the digital journey. Therefore, you can see a lot of designs are going to that in more details. The North Point Electric Road branch is our newest branch, which we add into an F&B, a food and beverage elements into it, what we call a merge concept. Therefore, the first floor on the street level is actually a betting hall. However, on the second floor is actually a restaurant. And it's designed in the 70s, very nostalgic. It's actually bringing out, we also got, it's called Wynn's Cafe because Wynn's is a horse that is a champion horse in the 70s. And then we are actually using that name. And we do have 2 restaurants of the similar design in the race course. And why we adopt the same design in the North Point branch is that we want our customers, even not able to get into, because it's quite restrictive for customers now to get into race course because of the crowding restrictions. However, even for customers that is unable to get into race course, they can still enjoy that race course experience in our branch as well. Therefore, we bring that Wynn's Cafe in the same design out to the North Point in the community so that we can serve our customers in the community without getting into the race course. We have just successfully obtained a betting license for a new branch, which we haven't done that in the past 16 years. And that's a great achievement that we've done. Is in a place of residential new housing estates called Lohas Park. And Lohas means the land of health and sustainability. Therefore, they do have their own vision of how they want to build that community. Therefore, when we put into our betting branch, you can see that the whole design is about youth, about young adults, about how to engage them in an environment that they like. It's we would design it in a way that it's promoting health, like we do have some DIY workshops or yoga classes to engage the community there. We will also have some corners of it that we actually reuse or recycle some of the used wood for building up our environment. Therefore, this is something that we want to make sure that the design is actually fitting into the community as well. All right, therefore, I'll talk a bit about that just to highlight a few areas. Therefore, this is the Mongkok Dundas Street, which it's a digital space. We don't have any cash back there. It's all about teaching customers how to adopt and groom them for the app service. Therefore, you can see that on the left-hand side here, it's quite a beautiful, like very youthful design type of betting area where we can, in the morning, we can use it as an app lab. We can teach people how to use our app. At the nighttime, we turn it into a live event zone. Therefore, you can see we do have put into some special lightings effect to ensure that we can run parties there for engaging a different group of customers. And we also have like areas of zoning, like a football zone. When there are like major matches, we can actually engage customers there. This is another place is the North Point with the food and beverage experience. Therefore, you can see that it's actually totally different design from the Mongkok shop. And there is also a consistent design of our betting hall that fits with the F&B 70s type of nostalgic design. Also, I mean, apart from betting hall and the food and beverage area, we do have some of the special zoning, like there's a football zone there. We have like a TV wall there to actually bring out that match experience and excitement to the branch. We have like a smaller private room where people can book out for their private parties. We have an area where we can serve our mass customers in terms of like raising live events broadcasts. Therefore, there are different zonings there that allow us to actually engage our customers and to cultivate that interest. And this is actually a design concept, which we haven't launched it yet. However, we just obtained our license and we're starting all the design work, which is still in progress. And hopefully next year in Q1, end of Q1, we're able to launch it. And it's actually for a new community, which there will be like talking about quite a big number of young families going in, and we want to like engage them in another flavor. Therefore, you can see that there would be DIY workshop there. There would be health related activities there. There will be places for hanging out. We don't want people to be like lining up. Therefore, there would be waiting area there. You can see that there is also a song, which is like a potato stand there, where we put in even like our racing horses there, the mechanics like sports gym, that type of activities for engaging younger group of customers. Okay, in terms of digitization, I think there are a few areas that drive digitizations. Of course, I mean, the mass customers that is more mature, that used to be coming in our betting branches, we need to teach them. We need to ensure that they have more flexible channels for engaging with us, apart from just the physical channels. That's actually quite proven that that's needed because of the COVID situation. However, the younger segments are also one major customer group that we need to engage. Therefore, I mean, they want convenience. They want self-service anytime, anywhere. They don't want to crowd. They don't see the necessity for crowding in and getting into OCBBs if they can get all those informations at their fingertips. Therefore, how we do customer engagement, how we create a new relevance for them, how we engage them through offline to online and then online back to offline for giving them reasons for coming into our retail branches. That's something that we need to like make sure that all the activities, all the things that we design are wrapping around these objectives. Therefore, we do have, I mean, since last year, and actually, I think I would say years ago, we already started the digitization journey. However, I would say the more impactful with customer impact type of digital transformation started last year, where we have our e-wallet launch. The good thing about e-wallet is that it's only like 6 minutes we can set it up. There is very minimal things we need from customers for setting it up. Therefore, it actually shortens the time we need our customers to be staying in the branch. They could use the e-wallet on self-service terminal, or they can actually give another 10 minutes and we can actually upgrade it into a full account. Therefore, it's something that is like midway into before they get into a full account. However, it's something that could facilitate them instead of have face-to-face cashback experience, they're able to like have a first taste of the digital journey. Retail e-display, we are actually putting a more e-display instead of like posting our posters up. Therefore, it's much easier for centralized control in terms of any customer communication. For this year, we actually upgraded our e-display and the TV wall that we put into some of our newer branch for enhancement of the digital journey. It brings out more flavor from the race course into the community and actually provides more like high definition promotion messages as well as videos for our customers. The full e-wallet support. We are also developing an OCBB dashboard. That's also something that I will go into in a minute. We don't have a very, I need to be honest, we don't have a very good, I would say, visibility in terms of what's happening on the branches because of the decentralized mode. In Telebet world, it's much easier because everything's hooked up to the system. In OCBBs, there's a whole lot of information, say, for example, how many customers are coming in, whether our branch is now opening or not, whether there is anything that happens with our self-service terminals. Is less of visibility over 100 branches. Therefore, what we need to put up is actually to enhance our power to have an overall visibility, a centralized control of all these 100 OCBBs. Therefore, we are actually digitizing ourselves, not only in the customer experience, but also in the way we do a centralized control using dashboards. In next year, as I said, for the account opening, we're going to allow our customers to do a self-serve account opening online. Therefore, this is something that is really providing that convenience for our customers. We don't want the COVID to strike again, but no one can tell. Therefore, even we need to close our shop again, our customers can easily adopt and get onto self-service account opening starting next year. We need to have better control, better understanding of our customers' behavior. Therefore, we started a project that looks at AI in terms of like putting in cameras to understand like how many customers coming in, what time of the day they're coming in, their demographics like gender and age groups. We want to also know about their dwelling, where they will dwell, how long they're dwelling, what their route is in our OCBBs, whether they will look at certain promotion messages and then how they will walk, and then whether they will go for SVT, our self-service terminals, or go to the counter. Therefore, all these things are the interest area. They will want to capture all those data from this AI traffic count, and we can't do it by people counting. Further on, next year, we are also putting in the GPS tracking of our app usage, which means that no matter they're in a race course, they're in our betting branch or anywhere near, we're able to understand like how they are reacting to some of our promotion, and whether they are actually engaging with us more, or using the app more, or actually betting more with the activities that we are running in our betting branch or in our race course. Therefore, these are very valuable information for understanding our customers' behavior and also evaluating ourselves regarding the effectiveness of our marketing campaigns. Therefore, this is something that we need to make sure that in the digital journey, we are continuously improving ourselves. Therefore, from the existing full account previously that we need to do 70 minutes for opening an account and a lot of like passwords and all those like SMS verification code, all those things, we're actually shortening it to around 4 to 5. Currently, we are around 6. Therefore, this is actually helping customers to be more willing and more ready for adopting the digital journey. And then the e-wallet that we introduced early this year actually helps us with the offline to online experience. It's a first taste, as I said, for cashless mobile payment. Instead of going for cash transactions, we are actually trying to get them the first taste of using a cashless transaction. And then further on, they can add on to upgrade themselves as a full account so that it's a full digital experience. They can also link up to bank accounts, which means that any money that they need to deposit into their account, the e-wallet, or any withdrawals they need to do, they don't need to come into the branch anymore, and then they can do it just by pressing a few buttons. This is the AI technology that we use the facial recognition as a means to match the ID photo and to verify the identity of the account owner. Therefore, by the use of AI, we are able to promote the online e-wallet or account opening, which customer can do everything anytime by themselves. On the other hand, is actually anti-forgery tracking of any ID documents. Okay, therefore, for the online to offline or offline back to online interest cultivation, we're actually putting in a few areas, and these are only a few of those that we are planning out. However, is to drive synergy across the different locations, which there could be a lot of thematic events that we can put in for driving customers from race course to betting branches, as well as betting branches to race course through these events. We have been thinking about, say, for example, we can have a good KOL sharing at our Wins Cafe, and then grouping these people to get into the race course for a fabulous night of a race event. Therefore, these are some of the experience we want to promote using OCBBs as a convenient location to gather the people and then to bring them into the race course for the taste of the race course excitements. And then in the future, if they like it, they can get into race course by themselves. Therefore, it's actually an integration not only for offline, online, but actually cross the different betting locations that we can actually promote that interest. We are also using the power of people to actually cultivate that interest of customers for adopting the app. We're using our 100 branches with that convenience for holding app workshop to enhance the proficiencies of customers in using the club's betting applications. All right, on to AI and data analytics. That's definitely one major area that we are starting since last year, and we are still going on to it. Therefore, the first one is we talk about the customer traffic analytics using AI with use of cameras or the live video streaming. We are able to identify customer count. And on the other hand, because of the large number of cashbacks, we don't know if the customers whether they are unique customers or not. Therefore, we do have, apart from understanding customer behavior, we do have some of the analysis, whether how many unique customers are coming into our betting branch instead of just visits. Therefore, these are some of the things we actually get into the business insights and go into what we call the enterprise data warehouse, together with other betting behaviors of the customers, so that we have a holistic view of cashback customers as well as account holders, how they react to our promotion messages, what are the things, what are the promotions that appeals to them, whether they like using app or actually sometimes they use app, but sometimes they get into our OCBBs as well. These are all the data that we want to do more analysis and get more insights using our enterprise data warehouse. All right, and we also want to know where they are performing all these transactions apart from home. Therefore, if they get into our race course, if they get into our premises, we want to be able to know where they are and what they are doing. Therefore, these are some of the things we want to have that GPS technology wrapping around the premises that we have for the better measure of the value of betting branches, what customers like to do in our betting branch. If we tweak or do some of redesign of our events, will that actually brings in more activities of our customers online? These are all the things we want to know. And without this technology, we don't even know, the effectiveness of our events. Okay, therefore, these are some of the things, like I talk about the EDW. This is actually a very big warehouse that Jockey Club has regarding our accounts, as well as our transaction data. And these are very transaction-based data, which means that there isn't a lot of customers' behavior into it and how we correlate that customer experience or customer behavior with their betting behavior. Therefore, by integrating this piece of what I said, the GPS technology for understanding customer behavior, online behavior in our different premises, our AI traffic counting, the profile of our customers, what they like, what they react to, and then the final transaction behavior of our customers, we can better understand, the holistic end-to-end customers' behavior, whether our promotion is effective or not, or how we can do more fine-tuning and more detailed segmentation of customers and appeal to different groups of customers in the right way. Therefore, these are some of the things we want to be achieving, hopefully by next year, once we get all these different blocks of data that's coming into our EDW, our enterprise data warehouse, so that we are able to run all these analytics and get us into a better grip of customer behavior. Okay, therefore, that's probably almost everything I have in my presentation. I think it's very important, the 7 steps that we have in the digital journey. Retail has a big part of it, and we need to make sure that we are playing a part of it, which we understand where our value proposition is coming from. There needs to be, retail is not dead. I would say, even after the COVID, customer behavior changes is probably opening up a new door for us in using digitization, in helping our customers to engage with us anytime, anywhere, and in the way they like, in the new channel that they like. Therefore, we put into hardware, new shop experience, we put into customer journey, we put into activities as well, we put into the right facilities to engage our people, we put into our retail racing specialists as well, our people that is very proficient in engaging and cultivating interest with our customers. Therefore, with all these things, actually is supporting that online offline experience, and we're giving our online customers a good reasons for coming to visit us in the offline world. Therefore, the last quote I want to get is that the goal of online dating is to get offline as quick as possible. You can never replace, I mean, the offline experience of a dating, of a customer engagement by just doing online. Therefore, I would still think there's a whole lot of space for retail to be going digital, however, to prove ourselves that we have a power that digital cannot be replacing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Grace. That's very, very thorough in what the Hong Kong Jockey Club is doing. Given the time constraints, I think I'm going to come back to questions later on for Grace, and switch straight over to Bernadette McLaughlin. Over to you, Bernadette. All good.
Thanks so much. Okay, so just flick over straight to the next slide. I'll sort of jump into what we've been doing here pretty quickly. When we talked about digitising retail in Australia, we had a couple of main points that we wanted to do. We wanted to drive advocacy for digital conversion, clearly. We wanted to solve channel conflicts within our retail branches and our licensed venues. And we also wanted to get ahead of know our customer, so KYC. Thank you. So what we actually did, the traditional view of TAB's wagering offering, of course, was the status quo. We had TAB equipment, operator and self-service. We had our vision delivered by Sky Racing, and all of our transactions, or most of our transactions, were by cash. So what we've done, we've actually worked very hard with our industry stakeholders to make sure that we could drive the advocacy that we wanted to move people from cash transactions into digital. How we did this, we actually started heavily investing and defining what the retail and on-course customer experience should be. Now, during my presentation, I'll often just refer to licensed venues or agencies, but what we have also done here in Australia is moved the digital experience to the racetracks as well. So we've actually, we treat on-course as an extension of retail, so that if we are actually building a venue proposition for our licensed venues and agencies, we're also making sure that the customer is benefiting from those value adds when they appear onto a racetrack. Part of the and we've been on a long journey and sort of testing and learning, testing and failing, sometimes, flying the aeroplane while we're building the aeroplane. One of the things, and I think Grace touched on this a little bit, is around how do we make sure that the operator that's sitting behind the counter or is out there demonstrating our brand also gets all the right tools to make it easy, I guess, to put the show on for us. And I can touch on that a little bit later on in the presentation, but you'll see things like how we've developed the TAB operator app and venue coach, so that at the touch of a screen, we can actually, the person that's behind the bar or behind the counter knows exactly what screens to put on at what time, so that we can benefit from, maximising sports betting, maximising racing. So I'll move to the next slide. Thank you. So we've used artificial intelligence and machine learning are the key drivers of TAB's digital in retail program. Now, we've got that far by using we call it a product, but it's not actually a product that you bet on, but it's called Venue Mode. And then, of course, we've actually developed personalised CRM. Now, I talk about our industry partners. We need them to drive advocacy for the TAB app, because there's so much competition here in Australia, as is in the case in a lot of countries around the world, that, if our venues are putting on the show, as we say, so they're actually building the venues, they're bringing the vision in, they're providing a very comfortable environment for customers to come into, they've got to be able to make sure that they're pushing our app, not one of our competitors. So Venue Mode is the product that allows us to communicate offers and promotions that are exclusive to retail. So what I mean by that is we've developed venue modes so that we will offer a special price or a different dividend or markets that aren't available to digital customers outside of retail. So clearly we want to increase the dwell time in a licensed venue or an agency, and we've certainly understand that if we can give the customer something that they can't get unless they're inside a venue, inside an agency or a racetrack, that actually will promote advocacy for us. We've gone a long way in personalising our CRM, and as I said, using machine learning, we can now actually send out personalised campaigns to people. So I'll use a bit of an acronym here. We no longer, are doing a spray and pray and hope we'll get the right outcome from a customer. So, we no longer will send a customer, advertising or betting around a greyhound product if in fact they've not, they're not a greyhound punter, they only bet on the thoroughbreds, or perhaps they're a sports punter. So it's actually allowed us to tailor more successful campaigns. And just recently, we've actually, we only had in our personalised CRM, we only had fixed odds betting in it. We've now actually got real-time data for Pari Mutuel betting. So just a very quick example is if we saw that we had an early lapsing customer, we don't want that customer to stop using our app or go back to cash. We can actually then perhaps send them a message around a bonus bet for a trifecta or something like that. Thanks, Florence. Can you, next slide? So channel conflict, so digital versus cash, it was always a burning platform for us. So in 2016, we introduced 2 new revenue streams for retail. And that's digital in venue and digital out of venue. And what I mean by that is we actually started paying the venues and the agents rewards for going to the trouble to put on the show, as I said, and also be advocates for the TAB app. So it's actually paid at the same rate as cash transactions. So clearly incentivizing the licensed venues and retailers to actually make sure that everything that they're talking about to a customer is about the TAB app is the way we wanted to go. And it's been very, very, very successful. The digital out of venue rewards is that we actually encourage our venue partners to get customers to open up a TAB account. So they may have been a cash customer, and we did see this through COVID where a lot of our cash customers had to convert to digital because clearly our shops were closed as well. But what we've actually seen as well, when they've come back, they've actually stayed on the TAB app because they've actually been given a lot more value propositions to stay on that digital journey. But what actually happens now in a store, if somebody comes in and opens an account in that store, the store is given a acquisition payment, and then we tie that customer to that store. So if that customer then was to walk out of the store, go home and start betting on the app, the store that opened that digital account continues to get paid commission as long as that customer is a frequent visitor to that store. So again, it was actually just showing our venue partners that, you help us, we'll help you, we can drive value for the customer and for our stakeholders. Thanks, Florence. So we actually do geofence all of our stores and our racetracks. And again, just so that we could have transparency and make sure that everyone understood that what we were saying we were doing is absolutely accurate, we had to develop a lot of internal reporting and external reporting. So that picture that you're seeing up on your screen now, the pink dots represent accounts, and they're clearly at Randwick Racecourse, but it would be the same view if we were looking at a licensed venue or an agency. So what we're able to do when we have our monthly or weekly sit downs with our licensed venues or agents, we can actually take them through the, not only the number of bets, but we can actually drill right down into male, female. It's all it's de-identified. So clearly we're not breaching any privacy laws or any regulatory or legal commitments that we have to adhere to. But what we're actually doing is showing the venue the type of bets that are coming through on the digital app. So that way we can clearly say, you know, you've got a big cluster of sports bets. So therefore you should add, you know, when you're thinking about the design and the layout of your venue, you can skew more towards big vision on sports, or if it was the other way, big vision on racing. We can actually tell them, you know, the time of day that you're getting foot traffic in, you know, that actually helps them with their staff rostering, how they're going to, who they need on. They can get very granular on this and make sure that the people that they have got in the stores are, you know, are sports nuts versus someone who only knows about racing. So what I was saying, we've built reports and we've built apps to actually help our venues come on this digital journey with us, because there's clearly no point in us developing all these great apps and tools if we don't share that information with our venue partners. Thanks, Florence. So clearly, if you're digitizing, you've got to digitize everything that goes with it. So the store layout is important, and in our licensed venues, no licensed venue is the same. So it's, you know, it fits in with the design that they want. Even our agencies are not a cookie cutter replica of each other. But clearly, we need digital signage to be at its peak, digital odds and digital form. People are not going to convert from cash to digital unless you actually start to digitize the environment around them. And that's what we've done. So in order for people to understand, you know, what's happening in the app, you need to be able to continually message out what's happening. We actually run a lot of masterclasses with our licensed venues and agencies, and just recently, because of COVID, we've had to go online and do that by webinar as well. So we're constantly updating staff, constantly giving them the direction that we're going in. We're always making sure that we're showing our roadmap to our agencies and licensed venues so that they can also prepare for the next wave of digitisation. Next slide, thank you. So, you know, our strategic approach has been to merge retail and digital, just join two words together then, and it's allowed the team of developers to conceive and roll out some really great products for our customers. One of the things that we've probably been slow in adopting is the, you know, cashless payments or other types of paying, but that's all being rolled out as we speak. But where we've moved to now is actually starting to integrate offers with our venues. So it's great that customers can come in, they're going to get differential pricing, they're going to get a special that nobody else can get. We might hook together a multi, we might have extra multis given to people that have gone into the venue or gone to the race course. Just recently with Everest, as you came on to Randwick race course, everyone got their, if you had a bet in the first, that bet was refunded to you. So all of that is actually driving that digital conversions, because we're not offering any specials for cash. We're not offering, you know, we're not encouraging people to even go use our self-service. We're actually encouraging people to become digital customers, because then we can also talk to them. We know their behaviours. It actually helps with all our fraud analytics as well. And now we're actually developing group, I guess, punters clubs. So, you know, if you, again, to try and keep that social aspect, because a lot of people, you know, like the cash, they like to celebrate the wins. So we're actually developing punters clubs that people can come in as a social element still, even though they're betting digitally. And the integrated offer is things like the licensed venue might want to offer a steak sandwich for $5, and we'll add a bonus bet to that. and we can be quite bespoke in those offerings. So we might have one licensed venue that wants to offer steak sandwich, we might have another licensed venue that wants to offer quite a gourmet meal, and we can partner that with a bonus bet. And it's also the same with the race course. We can make sure that this special offer is only going to Randwick Racecourse, because again, we're trying to work with our stakeholders and our racing partners to drive footfall into their venues, to stay longer and make that event a really special event. That is the end of my presentation. I did have this really fantastic video to show you, because what we actually do to drive the news around venue mode and what we're doing around our special and EPOS and digitisation, we also use all of our own channels like Sky Channel, our Sky Radio, and we do get a lot of airplay, and we put a lot of ads out onto normal commercial TV. So unfortunately, I cannot show that ad because I cannot get my presentation going, but I hope that gave you some idea of what we're doing here in Australia to keep the digitisation of retail happening. And I should just say, I don't like to put stats out to people, but our digitisation of retail is up 84% since COVID and since we've come back. Digitisation of retail is now pushing around the 14-15% of all bets. And we're pretty happy with that outcome because we're actually seeing, as I said, people that have converged over to digital in retail have actually stayed there. I hope that was helpful, and I do apologise that I couldn't run my own presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Bernadette. Whilst we wait for some questions, I noticed Grace made a comment about the workers within the betting centre, or in our cases, the agencies. How difficult has it been to get the agent or the older worker from behind the counter to the front of the counter?
It was a little bit difficult because of the cultural way that we'd done things in the past. But seriously, once we started introducing the digital payment on digital bets in the venue, they very quickly, I guess, made massive efforts to get out in front and actually talk to customers, because they clearly wanted customers that were going to start betting on account, stay with them. So we did have to incentivize them, but they came on board, pretty quickly once they could see the absolute benefit to their bottom line.
Good. I can't see any other questions, so thank you, Bernadette. That's fantastic, and maybe one day we'll show that video.
I'll have a play while I'm sitting here. No, that's sorry about that, everyone. It was really great. Take my word for it.
No worries. Thanks, Bernadette. All right,
Thank you.
We'll hand over to Zachary for his presentation.
Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm actually in Las Vegas, so it's very early in the morning for me here. I think what we've seen here is an amazing work from the industry and the evolution of customer experience. And so what I wanted to do was to take a little bit of a step back and talk more about that. So I'm going to share my screen here. Are you able to see the presentation well?
Yes, all good.
All right, great. Yeah, so from our perspective, again, I'm a little bit new to the industry. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at First Technology, which is the technology arm of the Strana Group, which many of you are aware of. Obviously, that includes Tote, as well as ExpressBet and FirstBet, two of our ADW products. Paramax, which is our Pari Mutuel-based slot machine business as well. And so a little bit about me and my experience and why I'm kind of taking this perspective is, I came from the casino world, and so I was, my last role was actually Vice President of Corporate Information Technology at Las Vegas Sands Corporation, so working in Singapore, Macau, and the United States on digital transformation projects. And before that, I ran those projects here in Las Vegas for Sands Corporation, and I have a background in online poker and gaming, luxury retail, and a part of the digital transformation of Major League Baseball advanced media back in the early 2000s. And that was a big part of how we revitalized baseball. And I think that there are a lot of analogies that can be brought to our industry today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the age of the customer. And when you think about, where companies have evolved over the last 100 years or so, back in the 1900s, it was about producing products. You had Ford, you had Boeing, Procter and Gamble, all these companies building great products. And it really is surrounded, the product, how good the product was, the benefits of the product. And then as you start to get towards distribution and information being more available, now we're in the age of the customer, really, right? And so this is a great kind of slide that I've gotten here from Forrester, which talks a little bit about businesses that are customer experience obsessed, really dominating their respective markets. And one of the things that I thought was a really great thing to share with everybody here was Amazon's mission statement, which is to continually raise the bar of the customer experience by using the internet and technology to help customers find, discover, and buy anything, empower businesses and content creators to maximize their success. They aim to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. And I think what we've seen here today with the amazing work that's happening across not only Australia and Asia, but especially here in the United States, we're very focused on the customer experience. And when you do that, things change, right? And we're talking about the taking the retail experience and melding that with the digital experience, and everything that we're hearing about is really about focusing on that customer. And I think it's just so important to bring up and to talk a little bit about how that's affected companies worldwide, right? So the companies that are investing in customer experience, they are growing revenue faster than anybody else. And there's another great slide here from Forrester. And what does that mean today? It means digital transformation. So I think we're all on the right track. And I think when you look at COVID and how that's accelerating this evolution, it's really important for us to really think about, how are we making wonderful, frictionless experiences for our customers? And that is not only just digital, but it is about, connecting that digital to the retail experience. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about digital transformation too. So just more generally, digital transformation opens a new path for growth through digital technologies, trends, or operating structures and business models. I think you saw some great examples from both Grace and Bernadette, where it's not just about developing an app or making these experiences available online. It's actually about changing your business processes, changing the way that the business operates to serve a different customer, right? So when you think about all these different capabilities, you have mobility, AI, machine learning, AR, VR, all these great things that we have available at our fingertips these days. It's not just about that technology, it's about developing these superior on-demand customer experiences. And when I say on-demand, I think it's very important to think about that for a second, right? Both the themes that we saw in Grace and Bernadette's presentations, it's about giving the customer what they want, when they want it, how they want it, right? It's not about the business anymore. It's about, you saw, Grace's customers, they want to be more digital. They want to be not only in the venue or in the OTB, they want to be at home, they want to bet. Same thing with Bernadette as well. So the signups are happening there, but people want the information that they are looking for, how they want it, right? And I think that's a very important thing to remember as all of us start to think about our own plans to further evolve and digitize these experiences. And so from the Sonic Group, our commitment to digital transformation is across the board. And we have a unique perspective, not unique to many of the organizations here, but at least in our market, because we operate the Tote, because we operate racetracks, and we have the ADW products. What you see here on the right-hand side is First Bet, which is our newer ADW platform. And within First Bet, we've baked in artificial intelligence handicapping capabilities. We've also integrated event ticketing services. So when you go to the Preakness or you go to one of our tracks and there's a special event, you're able to access your tickets online, purchase them, and then use that app as well for a digital ticket. And so a lot of the things that we're talking about, that we hear Bernadette and Grace talking about, are the same things that we're looking at here in the United States. However, our experiences are a little bit more fragmented, so we're working with not only our own tracks, but also our customers, the tracks of our customers, and then through the ADW as well. But our commitment to digital transformation spans across the entire stack, and it's about creating these mobile-first, frictionless, convenient experiences, the same thing that we're talking about with Grace and Bernadette. And so what does that mean? It means digitalization of the experience. So digitalization being taking analog experiences, how do you take the ticket that so many of our customers enjoy to hold in their hand, the cash experience, and make that digital while not losing the appeal of that kind of tactile experience that we used to have. Blockchain, there's opportunities to leverage blockchain for our industry. I think that we're going to see in the next 5 to 10 years, even the United States has made recent news with the fact that they're exploring digital dollars. Robotics and automation. One of the initial things during one of my interviews, I was actually at the Breeders' Cup this year, and I was talking to Paul, the CEO of First Technology, and we were talking about the fact that robotics and automation are becoming much more ingrained into the operational aspects of the casino industry. And being that's where I came from, we were talking about how that can be applied to the horse racing industry. And I think there's a lot of opportunities there as well. Location-based services. We heard both Grace and Bernadette talking about location-based services, how we can better understand our customers' behavior, whether that's from a digital physical kind of experience, or whether that's their movement around the racetrack. What are they doing? Where are they betting from? All of that very important, where they're signing up from. Facial recognition. We've talked a little bit about that as well. Facial recognition gives us opportunity not only from a security perspective, but also from a marketing perspective. So, there are clear opportunities where when you have VIP customers come into a racetrack, can you recognize those individuals? Can you create more custom, bespoke experiences for them in the different racetrack experiences? Internet of Things. So obviously a lot of opportunity there as well. But again, the location-based services, smart devices, using those across the racetracks. Again, the way we're looking at our business is how do we enable our customers, not only from a B2C perspective, from a B2B perspective, to deliver more enriched digital experiences. And some of that is about smart devices, location-based services. And another thing that we're working on is cloud-based centralized remote support. So centralizing our race day operations is very important because it allows us to scale and give better, more real-time support to all of our customers. Data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. We've talked about that a number of times again today. The ability for the Tote to deliver data to our customers to allow them to use it and create more meaningful advanced analytics and enriched experiences. All that comes from the data that we all collect, whether it's at the Tote, whether it's on the app side, on the client side. It's very important to be able to put that all together. You heard Grace talking about the enterprise data warehouse, allowing, and again, re-architecting these legacy platforms to deliver additional value. We're obviously the Tote is a very big part of that. So when you think about these great experiences in the EDW and how that information is being shared to create personalized experiences, it's all about that melding and the re-architecting of these legacy platforms so that they can produce data that is more accessible, more consistent, and more widely used across the organization. And so, straight from Belinda Stronach, our chairman president, she's had this great quote that's been used many times in the news, which is that horse racing is the last great sporting legacy platform that is not yet fully modernized, and we're doing that. And I think that is the reason why I was brought into this industry, was to help take that vision and bring it to life. But I think it's what excites me about hearing these presentations that we've seen so far today, and about the work that we're doing at Stronach Group. And if you haven't checked out our betting app, you should take a look to see what it looks like, because I think that the handicapping solution that we put together is just the first of many different things that we're putting together on the B2C side that leverage a lot of these different things that we're talking about today. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Whilst we wait for some questions, I asked Bernadette about the betting shop owner or operator going from the front of the counter to the back, sorry, the back of the counter to the front. In terms of your customers, your older customers, are you finding that it's easy to get them across to the digital side of the business, or is it a struggle?
Well, I think that, I think anywhere where you have, people who are doing something for a long time, a certain way, there's going to be struggles, right? I think that it's a combination of, and I think we've seen some great examples here from Bernadette and Grace about, how do we make things easier, reducing friction, make it useful. And that's the way that you really transform, a traditional customer to a digital customer, right? Is to make it that much easier, to make it that much, to reduce the friction. And I think that even more so than giving money or value through promotions, it's about, making things accessible and easy. And I think if you can incorporate the digital experience into that traditional experience, whether it's, using the app for parking or for valet, when you start to incorporate the digital experience into those aspects of the experience, what you're doing is you're actually priming the customer to get more and more comfortable with that digital side of things. And so I think that if you just go at them and you say, look, if you bet online, you're going to get, better value. We have more promotions. I think it's the combination of the things that Bernadette and Grace are talking about, really ingraining it into that experience versus just offering additional promotions or value.
Thanks, Zach. Excellent.
Yeah.
I can't see any other questions coming through, so I'm going to hand it over to Jamie to wrap it up.
Yeah, just to start off, I'm coming from a slightly different angle from everybody else. The Tote in the UK is very much a supplier to everybody that owns the retail experience. So we don't have any of our own retail. Even the racecourses run their own through BritBet, through their own outlets through BritBet, a company that is put together by the racecourses to do that. The high street is dominated by the major betting shop chains, and we are partners with each of those. So this is taking a view of how we as a Tote, offering Tote pools, can work within that environment where we're not actually the end owner of the retail experience, but we're a supporter of their retail experiences. So I can give a bit of background on what's happened in the UK in terms of that retail experience and how the different companies have dealt with it. I think first of all, just to talk through the position of racing and betting and retail betting particularly, is in the last kind of countrywide figures, retail has gone down significantly, and it has done over the years. But actually, the majority of the decline, the most recent decline, was in football betting, and racing was holding up. For last year, or in 2019, 4% of the population, this is the entire population rather than just the betting population, said that they placed a bet on horse racing in 2019 versus 3.8% in 2018. When you're looking into the retail numbers in terms of the breakdown for football versus dogs, horses, etc., actually the shift digitally of the market from retail in football into digital, that's meant that retail has dropped behind a little bit, is more noticeable than it has been in racing, despite the fact that racing has similarly had a shift across. If you look at pool betting, it's even more drastic. I think the biggest issue that pool betting's had there, obviously it's had different ownership since we had a monopoly situation with the government-owned Tote, and then that changed, and it was owned by Betfred, who one of the major kind of retail and digital operators for sportsbooks over here. But it became a smaller part of it wasn't the core focus of their business while they owned it. And then the TV channel, the TV channel that covers horse racing, the terrestrial TV coverage over here changed in that period, and the Tote lost its kind of tie up with the TV channel. It shifted from Channel 4 to ITV, and ITV has their own multi-leg free-to-play bet that's not connected with the Tote, whereas the Tote got a lot of support from Channel 4 in the past, but you can see it's dropped off significantly in the retail. This is non-remote retail area. And this just illustrates the challenge that we have as a Tote. So UK Tote don't own bookmaker retail estate, don't own the bookmaker digital estate, and we don't own the racecourse estate. We do own Tote Digital, so we have our own digital direct-to-consumer offering. We bought the Tote. We succeeded in buying 100% of the Tote last October, on the 17th of October. So we're only just over a year into owning it, and our digital offering only went live at the start of this year, and our apps only went live just over a month ago. So we're very much at the start of that journey to delivering a very focused customer experience to people via our own digital channel. But meanwhile, we have to rely on our partners and to support them in their digital change. If we look at what they're actually selling for us, the retail and digital, this breaks down all of our bets. And I think this is where we'll differ significantly from some of the other Totes where they sell through partners. The win and place are those very tiny bits between midnight and 1 a.m. really on the kind of clock face there, the dark blue and the brown. The biggest thing we sell by far through our partners is the place pot. It's a unique Tote bet, picking a horse to come placed in the first 6 races at any meeting. But that's the one bet that really the sports books don't have their own fixed odds betting equivalent, which is why it's our biggest seller. But that's still our link into each of their outlets that really makes the Tote, it keeps the Tote being relevant, and how we maintain our position within their shops. I think just in terms of active horse racing customer research, just over half of horse racing bettors do place Tote bets in the UK, but only 13% of them typically use Tote bets. So we are still a niche in this country. It's very much dominated by fixed odds betting. Play spots by far the most popular, 55% of those aware of the bet, having played it. So this standard part that we have here, a third of punters find Tote bets appealing, whereas 30% find Tote bets unappealing. Again, the issue there, takeout's too big, or I don't understand pool betting. People don't grow up with pool betting in this country anymore. But when you do challenge people on their Tote betting, they see it as a product that they're fairly agnostic about. They know about the play spot, but they know that they can place it everywhere, so they don't really associate it with a specific brand. When you ask them why they choose a particular brand to place their play spot, it tends to be driven purely by UX in terms of the app that they use regularly, or that they've got a balance with. And the only way they swap around is really to chase better offers. Even regular Tote users don't necessarily know that the apps that they use also offer it. It's quite often hidden, the Tote, within our partners' apps. So that's another piece where feedback from us into those partners about the easy access and the visual kind of real estate that we get for the Tote products does help to keep people on their sites and within their brand. And the reason for that is because the place pot player is of a higher than average value. They have higher ARPU because the place pot remains a portfolio play. It's not the only bet they're having. If you're making a commitment to having a bet across 6 races, you'll tend to be engaged over the whole afternoon. And that's why it's a product that our partners, and some would say in other countries, you know, your direct competitors, where you're a bigger operation, they need to have the play spot in there because it works for them as much as it works for us. All the way through the journey, well, online we target leg by leg updates and cross sell. In retail, it's all about bringing them back to that big screen and social experience. Am I still in? Who else is in? What's my ticket worth now? Can I buy back in? I was out early. All of these areas that we have to work with the partners and the partners broadcast studios to make sure that we're getting more data around these bets, the Tote bets, to make them an integral part of their their weekends betting as well as their weekday betting, but we're always far bigger around the Saturdays. The challenge about will shops get a digital facelift? All of every retail operator in the UK is driving through digital changes. We still have limited retail opening. We just had a lot more retail areas that have gone into lockdown again in the UK, and so a certain amount of the investment has stalled during COVID. Our race courses are still behind closed doors, so there's been a real kind of stall across everything we've been doing there. But retail betting, as we've said, no longer acts in isolation. I think one of the things where people talk about customer experience being the key thing, I don't think customer experience has ever not been key. It's just in the past, the biggest customer experience driver was the fact that I went to the betting shop that I could walk to. Now I don't need to, I'm not restricted to cash only betting. So it's just a change in the hierarchy of experiences that I'm demanding. One of the big issues here that when we go from a newspaper-based betting shop to a digital betting shop and working with people like the Racing Post, media partners like SIS, getting into the self-service betting terminal experience through people like Playtech VGT or William Hill that do their own self-service betting terminals, it's much more important for us to drive the data we're generating out of these multi-leg tote bets, particularly the play spot as the main focus, but to get across to customers across our retail partners the difference about having a tote bet versus a normal accumulator. So I can start to look on the Racing Post results within the form on the walls and see how many people are left in the play spot, what the dividend will be if it continues through to the end now, or what the predicted dividend is, and gives you another reason to come back into the shop for that retail customer to check their ticket. All of the major partners, they've all got their own omni-channel journeys. They all have apps that tie in with retail, because they're doing similar things to what Bernadette was doing with the retail kind of partners that Tab has, that these guys are doing it themselves. It's there that we have to fit into that journey that they're building. So driving relevant push notifications for our partners, so that if somebody's placed their bet with William Hill on a play spot and they're going into the 6th leg, then we should be feeding that back to William Hill so that they can then prompt them to go into a local, their nearest retail establishment to watch that and experience it on the big screen. It's this kind of crossover of the data that we hold that is so important to our partners, and that can help them to drive people back into their retail experience and make it much more about placing that bet with that brand than it is at the moment, where they're fairly brand agnostic. And so coming across the current the current journey that is changing, retail in the UK was all about window posters that get changed most days, paper betting shop display, self-service betting terminals have been around for about 15 years now. Paper bet slips and looking at the gantry for displaying the results, nothing else updating around the shop. It's now the digital window displays you'll see across far wider parts of the retail estate in the UK. Digital Racing Post display is just being rolled out now, which gives us all this access to real-time data, particularly about the breakdown of our tote pools. Access to the pool markets via the SSBTs is something that we're having to work through, because at the moment they've just got the fixed odds bets that are in SSBTs, so that's about working with those partners. Tracking bets via apps and cash out options using their apps and using our own app, so that we can get cross-selling to our tote product direct. And then the results increase data so that people can see the totes and the breakdown of the tote legs into those results on the screens and within the form. And then using all of that data, because we're all under much stricter regulatory adherence levels these days about protecting customers from harm, and having a full visibility of their entire betting activity. Quite often the tote activity isn't built into our partners' core systems, so it's something that we have to work with them and help our partners add that to their systems, which helps them sell but also helps them maintain all their licensing regulations. just the final thing for me is one new product that we're introducing just now. It's just been rolled out as in a soft launch to start with before we give it a good push. But this is Tote Survivor. This helps us give our partners something that they can own uniquely, but also be part of a bigger pool with. So this is a simple must be won jackpot over 6 legs. It similar to where you see must be won jackpots on the slots, and they've done so well. This doesn't roll over. It just gets paid to whichever tickets last the longest out of the 6 races. So, you know, it can go very early if we have 2 big upsets in the first couple of races. And when it has gone early, it always pays better than the double. But it's a different kind of bet for people to get involved with. It does have a national pool, but we're building it with the ability to go local. So you could have a William Hill only Tote Survivor or a Bet365 only Tote Survivor, so that those companies can make it fully kind of sell that community feel from being within their brand. And the whole kind of battle royal model is familiar to a younger demographic. It's much easier for us to explain how a pool works when we can liken it to, you know, to a battle royal situation where, you know, you've got 100 people starting and the winner's the last one standing. So while we are a small tote, we have a wide distribution network that we're not in control of, but it's working with our partners to deliver what they need, brand loyalty and a reason to communicate very personally to the customers about the state of their bets and things that they've picked out in their play spot that they could also bet at fixed odds. And that's where we're looking for our growth, as well as through our direct B2C access to customers coming direct to the tote. And that's all from me.
Thanks, Jamie. That's pretty good. You talked about retail turnover for tote betting. How is non-retail tote turnover going?
Well, we've in terms of our B2C turnover has gone up significantly since we introduced an SP guarantee. So one of the biggest things when we took over the tote, we went out talking to people and saying, well, why don't you bet with the tote? And they said, well, I'm sick of it paying less than the price it says on the telly. So we just immediately introduced an SP guarantee. So we'll never pay less than the SP if people come direct to the tote itself through Toteco UK. And we got kind of over 2,000% growth in our win markets off the back of that. We've got more to do in terms of making the tote a destination brand rather than a small portfolio play for the multi-legs. So I saw it's similar stuff to in Bernadette's presentation, where I saw, you know, the enhancements on prices. If you go direct to the venue, you know, I saw that the 10% kind of dividend enhancements and things like that. I think the tote, while we service everybody and all of the different competitors within the betting industry in the UK, I think we need to recognise that people that want to bet directly with the tote should be rewarded for betting directly with the tote in the UK and have a better experience based on that, so that people that are more engaged can bring more people into the tote experience that is a little better and a little more differentiated than simply betting it at William Hill or Bet365.
And what are the early signs for Tote Survivor? Are they looking good, promising?
Yeah, we've only run it like 2 weeks, 2 days, so without really telling anybody about it. So, but both times it's overpaid on the accumulator and the fixed odds accumulator on the selection. So that's the main proof point that we want. You know, and then developing. At the moment, it's the one size fits all one. It's the version 2 that gets the versions that our partners can use with their own pool. It's a bit more like bingo, you know, having a national game and a local game. So, but when we've run it on course in the past with Ascot, it's taken more than the jackpot. So we're thinking it'll get to that. Ironically, because it doesn't need liquidity, because ultimately you've got a better chance if you're in a smaller pool, so it's still worth playing. It gets more liquidity than the jackpot, where it is run on a race course, because more people feel like it's winnable.
Yeah, that's good.
Hey, Jamie, Bernard, can you hear me? Bernard?
Yeah,
just a quick question. You know, you just spoke about the the guarantee, I guess, on the tote price.
Yeah.
Did you have any issues with the regulator seeing that as an inducement at all?
We're just going through an audit with the regulator at the moment, but that's not one thing that's not an area where they've thought it was a problem. So no, we don't reward people for betting more. It doesn't have any, it doesn't have kind of a restriction or reward system where you only get it for betting 10 times or anything. So it's normally those kind of incentives that we're not allowed to do. We're not allowed to reward people for betting regularly or more regularly.
Yeah, I only ask because we're looking at doing something similar ourselves, and we just sort of had a funny question come in. So that's interesting, but it's great to see that you've got a 2,000% growth.
Yeah,
that's good share.
I mean, we have a much lower base than you, Bernadette.
Okay, thank you.
Probably got more
But if you
upside.
want to, I'd be happy to catch up offline with you, Bernadette, talk it through if you and I'll share anything that we can.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks, Paul. Sorry to jump in there, just while it was hot topic.
Yep, good. All right, I can't see any other questions. So thank you, Jamie. That's great. And just before we wrap up, we're going to do a short video from ATG. Over to you, Florence. Okay, well, thank you to Grace, to Bernadette, to Jamie, and to Zach for making their presentations tonight or today or this morning, wherever you are. I know Zach, it's about 5 a.m. where he is. Thank you again. We hope you got something out of it, and look forward to our next webinar in the next few months' time. Bye for now.